A new film is showcasing the reality of immigrating to a new country at just 10 years old.
The flight for his birthday. Yeah.
You're sending me to Canada?
Jamal! God has a bigger plan for you, my son.
When Morning Comes follows the story of a young boy who, as you saw there, finds out he's leaving his home in Jamaica to live with his grandmother in Toronto and all the hardships that come with a move like that. For more on the film, we have director Kelly Fife-Marshall in studio with us this morning. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You know, we were just discussing, this is a story that is thousands of people's stories, leaving one country to come to another, especially as a child.
Yeah.
So many different things to learn. So huge responsibility with that, added to the fact that it's also loosely based on your own experience immigrating to Canada from England. You were just 11, close to his age. How does Jamal's story relate to your own?
I think for me, it's about the emotion, the feeling of like leaving everything behind, leaving behind community, leaving behind family to go to this new cherished land. But it's you know, you don't really know what you're walking into. And I think like just the innocence of a child immigrating is something that's a story that's super important to kind of, to talk about.
Yeah, is this you here?
This is me.
And is this you in Canada? Or
No,
were you
this is in England.
This is still in England.
Yeah.
You know, my sister was around this age when she came. I've worked with a lot of people, and I remember a friend of mine who did that move, Jamaica to Canada. And he's like, everybody kept talking like it was a good thing, but I went from having pineapple trees outside to freezing cold, concrete city.
Exactly.
Why was it important for you to tell this story, this immigration story, from the perspective of a kid?
You know, I love to tell stories as a filmmaker from a child's perspective because they're closer to their emotions, and also because it's such a pure and innocent view of the world. And I think it's so important. For me, I made this film because I really wanted to speak to like having empathy for, especially living in Canada, for immigrants and refugees, especially with the refugee crisis going on right now. It's so important to understand like what the folks have been through, and they haven't left behind this desolate place. They've left behind a beautiful place, but they're just in search of something better.
Yeah, and sometimes forced to search for something better. This film shows how poverty can drive some parents to make a move like this, where they're sending a child to a different country, a different culture, a different environment. This is despite the risk of a child perhaps losing some of their cultural identity, and that is a risk that families do consider. Can you tell us a little bit more about how this film plays out? What happens with Jamal?
Yeah, like, for me, I wanted to do a love letter to Jamaica. Like, what was, you know, the Jamaica that I knew, the Jamaica outside of the stereotypes. You know, I had a lot of favorite movies, but some of them had violence and some of them had things that like weren't appropriate for younger children. And I remember having to watch Cool Runnings as a child all the time because that was the only appropriate Jamaican film. And it wasn't a Jamaican film.
Right.
And so for me, I wanted to tell this story of immigration. I wanted to speak to all of these things, but I also wanted to have a hearty Jamaican film that people could watch with families and people outside of Jamaica who could relate to what was going on in it. You know, like we said, I think Canada is like 25% immigrants. And so it's super important for people to look at the screen and see themselves and be like, this is who I am. This is a story of what I've been through. And it just shows the importance of who people are.
The Jamaican community in this country and in this city in particular are very loyal. They're very faithful, but they watch closely.
Exactly.
It's a big responsibility to get it right.
It is.
What's been the reaction so far?
The community's loved it, and it's been really good. You know, we don't get to see ourselves on the screen quite often, and especially depicted in a way that's positive or in a way that's normal. And so we've been getting a lot of like, it's funny, the movie is a drama, but when we're in theaters, everyone is laughing because they're like, oh, I remember this, and they're picking out certain things that really remind them of home. And that's the beautiful thing is I get to, you know, remind people of why they're proud to be Jamaican. Oh,
I love that so much. At the end of the movie, a screen comes up and it says, this is dedicated to the people that sacrifice it all for Black babies to thrive. This is really powerful language. Why did you choose that dedication and those words in particular?
I mean, I think of my mom and I think about the sacrifices. You know, this story has happened, it's not just loosely based on my immigration story, but also my mother's. My mom was born in England and sent back to Jamaica to live. And then I'm also, my grandparents are part of the Windrush generation, who are the folks that were sent from Jamaica to go work in England. And so this has happened in my generations for so long. And I think it's so important that I dedicate this to my family, to the people that have done that. And especially in this day and age where, you know, being Black sometimes is something that's super dangerous when you're outside in the world. And I think it's important to show like all the things that we have to do to make sure that they thrive.
Thanks so much for a great interview today.
Thank you.
All right, When Morning Comes opens in theaters on August 11th. It's a story a lot of people can relate to.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.